On our 5-year anniversary, Adrian asked if I wanted to try an open marriage. He said loving only one person for the rest of his life was too hard, told me to go see what else was out there. He was certain I couldn't leave him and certain I couldn't stomach anyone else. Later I took him at his word and fooled around with a frat house heartthrob. Then, hands shaking, he wrapped his fingers around my throat, panic and despair so thick in his eyes they looked black. Break up with him or we die together. Adrian hadn't been home in almost 2 weeks. As soon as he came back, he stepped into the shower. He walked out wearing only a towel slung low at his hips. Hickeys peppered his collarbones, scratches striped his back, and he met my gaze without a flicker of discomfort. He sat beside me, voice level. "Why are you staring? You knew already, didn't you?" Knew what? That he kept a side piece out there, or that he'd already done 100 insane things for her? When I stayed silent, he laid a hand on my shoulder and sighed. "Lily, how about we try an open marriage?" I slid his hand off without seeming to move. "What exactly do you mean?" His tone stayed gentle. "Spending your whole life loving one person is almost impossible. I couldn't resist temptation, and that's unfair to you. Go look around, find someone you like, I won't say a word." I studied him, his face was as earnest as the night he'd proposed on Riverside. I still remember that evening. Fireworks had painted half the sky, and the towers across the river scrolled his vows to me, each word chosen, each word true. Candles glittered, flowers massed everywhere. On the deck of the yacht he knelt, opened the box, eyes shining, unable to hide his excitement. What had he said back then? That he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, that there was room in his heart for no one else, and begged me to love him. Now, only a few years later, he was telling me lifelong monogamy was simply too hard. My supposedly calm heart lurched. I tugged one corner of my mouth up, face blank. "Sure." Because I agreed so easily, he blinked in surprise and started to ask something, but his phone rang. A cutesy female voice, his special ringtone for his side piece. Sure enough, once he hung up he began changing clothes. On his way out he even grinned back at me. "Little watched a horror flick and can't stay by herself, funny, right?" I had no idea what he expected me to feel, let alone sympathize with. Then again, the side piece is 19, blooming like a peony, while Adrian and I are pushing 30, little is perfectly accurate. The instant the door shut, the apartment sank into total silence. Outside stretched an endless night, and the mood that had been only average an hour ago was now hollowed out by emptiness and loneliness. Adrian dared propose an open marriage only because he was sure my morals and my love for him would keep me from ever taking him up on it. Probably it also let him trim the last slivers of guilt so he could flaunt his mistress in daylight. He always thought marriage couldn't chain him, yet could still chain me. This time he was dead wrong. My phone pinged. "Big, can you come to my varsity game tomorrow? Miss you so bad." Every shred of gloom evaporated the second those words flashed. I grinned and FaceTime Chase back. People change, Adrian changed beyond recognition, and he still demanded my absolute loyalty? Not happening. By the way, Chase and Adrian's side piece are classmates. Now that Adrian himself had offered an open marriage, I wouldn't have to spare his feelings anymore. I sat in the bleachers with a bottle of spring water. The game was brutal, neither team able to pull ahead, most faces grim. Chase still risked a stealthy kiss blown my way when our eyes met. I swallowed a laugh, infected by college boy energy, and answered with an Earhart. Right then a spoiled voice rose behind me, "You always fool around at home, the game's almost over. Next time I'll just ignore you." Ordinarily I'd ignore it, but the familiar baritone froze me. Adrian, openly doting. "Alright, I'll be quick next time." "Does it still hurt?" They settled 2 rows behind me, starting their public love fest. I kept feeling someone's gaze probing my back. Today, planning to meet Chase, I'd swapped my usual style for a cropped tee, ripped jeans, and a high ponytail, practically camouflage. The buzzer sounded, Chase sank a three-pointer for the win. I walked down and held out the bottle. He chugged it, eyes sparkling. Big, was I sick or what? I dabbed his sweat away with napkins. Sick is right, Big didn't blink once in case I missed a single highlight. Chase planted a loud kiss on my cheek. Wait for me to change. I'll be right back. He jogged off. I idly scrolled my phone. 2 shadows fell over me. So you're Captain Vance's mystery girlfriend? He hid you so well and I still caught you. I didn't have to look up to know Adrian and his side piece were standing there. I pocketed the phone and lifted my face. The second Adrian's eyes locked on mine, they turned to ice. Of course it's you. Side piece, sensing history, shook his arm. Uncle, you know each other? Aren't you going to introduce us? Adrian said nothing, his fists clenched at his sides. I rose and offered her my hand. Adrian's cousin, Lily. For 5 years, starting in year 2, he's fooled around but never let the women approach me. I'd give him the same courtesy now. A white button-down is all a boy needs, just a little tuck here, a roll of the sleeves there, and he can make your heart feel impossibly light. He laced his fingers through mine, nodded at Brielle and Adrian, and said hello. Adrian's gaze dropped to our joined hands. He gave a cold snort, spun on his heel, and walked off. Brielle scrambled after him. Chase stared after them, brow creased, locking my hand even tighter. Big, that guy kept staring at you. Do you two know each other? I nodded, perfectly calm. He's the husband I told you about, the one who can't stop cheating. Chase had known I was married, I'd never hidden it. I met Chase, of all people, thanks to Adrian. The day I spotted Adrian and Brielle on the street, I trailed them onto campus. Adrian's eyes were bright with fondness I hadn't seen in years. He carried shopping bags in both hands, tailing Brielle without a trace of irritation, coaxing, "Baby, forgive me, okay? I've shopped with you all day, still not enough to wipe the slate clean?" Brielle planted her hands on her hips and whipped around, every inch the spoiled princess. You tore my favorite dress. Even 100 new ones won't make me forgive you. Adrian laughed, leaned in, and brushed her forehead with his nose. Fine, fine. Name your punishment. I'll take it. I rolled the window up, sealing their voices outside, then dropped my head to the steering wheel and let the tears fall. I already knew he had someone, but watching him love her so openly still cut me apart. From the first flutter of teenage crush to the shattered mess of our 5th-year anniversary, Adrian still had my heart in his fist, after more than a decade. Thud. A basketball smacked the glass beside me. I wiped my face, lowered the window, and met the panicked gaze of a boy with perfect features. He scratched the back of his head. Big, I'm sorry. Let me buy you dinner to make it up. To my own surprise, I said yes. We traded numbers. Chase started inviting me out, casual, almost accidental, and I never refused. When he finally confessed, I told him I was married and laid out exactly where Adrian and I stood. He hung his head in long silence, then walked away, his back a knot of hurt. I thought that was the end, until, 2 weeks later, he blocked my car in the Sterling executive garage, lips pressed tight, eyes blazing. Big, if he won't cherish you, don't blame me for stepping in. The memory snaps me back. Chase thinks I'm brooding over Adrian and nips my lower lip, sulking. Can you not think about him? I ruffle his soft hair. I wasn't. I was thinking about you, how you wrestled with it after you first found out. Remember? Come on, today Big is all yours. When I finally walk into the penthouse, it's almost dawn. I flick on the lights and jump. Adrian is on the couch, haze of smoke thick enough to choke on. I kick off my shoes and pass him without stopping. He stubs out his cigarette and calls after me. Aren't you going to say anything? A day with Chase has drained me. All I want is a shower and bed. What is there to say? You're the one who suggested an open marriage. Don't tell me it stings now. Adrian rises slowly, steps into my space, eyes storm black. He schemes my throat, again and again, where Chase lost control and left marks. Did you sleep with him? I slap his hand away. Why do you care? When you're busy loving up Brielle, I never barged in. I lock myself in the bedroom. Moments later the living room erupts in crashes, Adrian smashing everything he can lift. I pull the quilt over my ears. He's insane. He orders me to see other people, then loses his mind when I do. And he still won't grant me a divorce. Classic. In year 2, when I first learned about the affairs, I asked for divorce. He laughed it off as a tantrum. Lily, do you have any idea how many deals Ty Sterling and Shaw together? Look around, every man keeps side pieces, yet their marriages hold. Why can't you be reasonable? He wasn't wrong. In our world infidelity is background noise. When I told my parents I wanted out, they fought me hard. Mom clutched my arm, preaching endurance. Divorce? Do you know how many joint ventures the Shaws and Sterlings share? So he has someone on the side, big deal. Adrian's not reckless. As long as she can't touch your title, ignore her. Enjoy being Sterling. I refused, and when Adrian's parents got wind of it they scolded me for childishness while forcing him to dump the girl. Eventually every voice wore me down and I surrendered. Adrian read that as permission. After that he flaunted each new side piece, and I quit caring. I assumed life would glide on like that, until Chase's wounded puppy eyes pop into my head and guilt sucker punches me. Maybe I can end this marriage and give Chase something real? The thought jolts me awake. A knock lands on the door. Lily, come out. Let's talk. I ignore him, so he keeps talking through the wood. I know this is revenge and I'm taking it. But Lily, promise me we won't let it turn real, no actual feelings, okay? So all that devotion he showers on Brielle is still fake? Then what about me? All those years of staged affection, how much was even real? I feel like the biggest idiot alive. He's still droning on. I won't let Brielle threaten your position, but you can't push too far. Today you hurt me. And what can that kid give you? He's broke, probably after your money. Trusting him would be a joke. He piles insult on insult until I yank the door open. So how are you sure Brielle isn't after yours? Brielle's different, she's sensible, never asks me for anything. Of course she doesn't, you shower her with gifts before she can open her mouth. Once upon a time you did the same to me, and I actually mistook it for love. Turns out it was just a bonus for good behavior. I snort and lift my left hand, flashing the band on my ring finger. Little never asked me for a cent. He worked double shifts for 2 months just to buy me this. The engagement rock was small, the clarity poor, the setting clumsy. Adrian would never have looked twice. The one he'd slipped on my finger at our wedding had been custom-made, even bigger than a 10-carat rock. A trinket like that moves you to tears? Lily, where's your brain? I could tell he was furious, every word tasted of gunpowder, so I let the argument drop. He had no idea how precious the intention behind this ring was, no idea what it meant for me to accept it. I rubbed my temples, exhaustion seeping through me. When Chase had taken it out today, I'd panicked. I had no way to answer the feeling he was offering. He'd read the distress in my eyes, even while his own turned red he kept comforting me. Big, it's okay. I'm not pushing you to divorce right now. I just want you to see my heart. I'm willing to stay beside you for life, as long as you don't throw me away. Back then I'd exhaled in relief, but if I was honest, did I really want to stay tangled with Adrian forever? Did I want Chase to stay forever nameless? I didn't, and I couldn't bear it. I twisted the ring lightly and said quietly, Adrian, let's get divorced. I hadn't mentioned divorce in about 3 years, saying it aloud now felt like letting out a long-held breath. Adrian clenched his molars, a vein pulsing at his temple. Lily, are you sick? Pulling the same stunt to force me to cut off Brielle? Forget it, never happening. He thought I was strong-arming him back into the marriage. The first time I'd tried, the results had been spectacular. He'd been hot and heavy with some supermodel. After my scene she'd been shipped overseas and his parents had grounded him for a week. When he re-emerged, every trace of her had vanished. But this time I wasn't angling for anything. Thinking of Chase brought a sweet ache, my voice softened without my permission. I'm not trying to force you. I just want to give Chase a name. I was terrified that once the story broke, people would point at Chase and snarl homewrecker. Such a good kid, my heart would break. Maybe my tone was too gentle, because Adrian finally realized I wasn't joking. His expression turned uglier than I'd ever seen. Do you know how old you are? 28, almost 9 years older than that little. You think it can last? Lily, don't be ridiculous, okay? It's a strange world. When a man is a decade older, nobody blinks. When a woman is 8 years older, the man must be after something and the woman a fool if she believes in love. But only the two inside the story know the truth. If one failed romance is enough to rob you of courage, to make you suspicious and timid, how exhausting the rest of life will be. I believe Adrian once loved me. I believe Chase loves me now. Maybe he'll change someday, but so what? I have the capital to risk, the guts to love and hate, to pick up and let go. I'm willing to try for something healthy instead of rotting in this marriage with Adrian. I lifted my eyes and held his gaze. It's fine. Even if it leads nowhere, I still want to try. That night Adrian slammed the door and left. I called my lawyer and started drafting the divorce papers. 2 nights later I was curled against Chase's thigh, half watching a movie, when my phone buzzed non-stop. In the dim glow I saw messages from friends telling me to check Adrian's Instagram. I opened it and watched the clip, Adrian on one knee sliding a ring onto Brielle's finger at her birthday gala. Brielle's eyes shimmered, Adrian's were the picture of devotion, an exact replay of the day he'd proposed to me. I felt like an idiot. The memory I'd clung to could be reenacted for anyone. Fine. The last shred of feeling for him died in that moment. Even without a caption, the post ground my face into the dirt. I called my lawyer straight away. Please send me a photo of the divorce agreement. When the picture arrived I posted it on my own Instagram, processing divorce. Wishing Sterling happiness in his new life. Then I shut the phone off. I looked up and crashed into Chase's starbright eyes. In the half-light I caught the tear clinging to his lashes. I laughed softly and pinched the soft skin of his cheek. You're that happy I'm getting divorced? He hugged me so hard I felt he might fuse us into one. A muffled yeah came out, one syllable thick with tears. Why are you this adorable? My heart melted, I tilted up to kiss him. The movie was at its climax, but neither of us cared. We let ourselves be reckless, one of those rare times. Next afternoon we finally woke and switched our phones back on. Messages flooded in, Adrian had rung more than 50 times last night. To protect the fragile good mood, I blocked him instantly. Then Mom and Dad kept calling, I had to pick up. Mom's voice carried in caution, Lily, are you okay? Your phone was off all day. I'm fine. Thought you were calling to talk me out of divorcing. A pause, then a soft sigh. I've watched these years, you haven't been happy for a single day. I kept hoping you'd come around, but Adrian's flaunting his side piece now, he doesn't care about saving face. Your father crossed lines, but he always left me dignity. If you want out, I won't stop you. Dad took the phone, voice icy and awkward. I told your brother to slow every Sterling-linked project. Don't worry, the divorce will hurt business. Take what's yours, don't leave that bastard a dime. Warmth rushed through me. Okay. Chase set a breakfast tray in front of me, moving as if afraid to make a sound. A wicked idea popped up. Mom, Dad, can I bring the person I love to meet you? Chase froze, eyes flaring wide. After a beat, pure joy spilled out of them. Unlike Adrian, this boy's world revolved around me. Every tiny gesture shouted honest, single-minded love. It scattered my doubts, cracked my defenses, and while I was still in pieces, dared me to believe again. First meeting with the parents, he was a nervous wreck, but he aced it. After everything with Adrian, Mom and Dad's one non-negotiable was how a man treats me. Chase's family is old-school intellectual, his mother's a university professor, his father's a doctor. They don't have our kind of business fortune, but the culture, the breeding, it's all right there. No parents could resist a boy whose eyes hold nothing but their daughter, even if he's still a few semesters short of grown. The instant we left the Shaw estate, Chase couldn't wait to call his parents with the news. They were liberal, breezy, the 8-year gap between me and their son barely registered. They just told him to hurry home and give them every detail. After he drove off, I stood on the curb and decided it was time. Time to go home and finish things with Adrian for good. Dragging it out would only make explaining harder on Chase. I'd barely touched the front door handle when it was wrenched open from inside. Adrian's eyes were bloodshot, his shirt a map of wrinkles. So you finally remembered where you live. His voice was gravel and nicotine. I tried to slide past, but he clamped my wrist and forced me to face him. He lit his phone and thrust the screen at me, Mom's latest Instagram post, the 4 of us around the dinner table, Chase included, smiles everywhere, no caption needed. You took him to meet your parents? Adrian's chest heaved. Did you even think about how that would feel for me, Lily? I jerked free and pulled the divorce papers from my bag. Why should I think about you? You and Brielle were practically staging a PR campaign. None of this matters anymore, look it over and sign. 50-50 split. The pages slapped against his chest, he let them fall like oversized snowflakes. He stared at the scattered sheets so long the half of his face still in shadow looked hollow. You're serious? He asked, voice thin as tissue. I nodded. Dead serious. I'm meeting Chase's parents later. I want this signed before then. Slowly he crouched, gathering the thick sheets until they crumpled in his fists. Just when I thought he'd surrendered, he shot up, tore the whole stack to confetti, then lunged and pinched my chin. Tell me again, you're leaving me for some kid who still has acne? His eyes bored into mine, the air around him colder than I'd ever felt, but I still nodded. Adrian sucked in a ragged breath. What if I told you I didn't post that picture and never meant to shame you? A cold laugh slipped out. Maybe you didn't post it, but you starred in the video, didn't you? He hesitated, voice cracking. You'd driven me crazy, and Brielle kept begging for some romantic birthday gala. I thought a little jealousy might pull you back, you'd stop freezing me out. I never meant for it to blow up. She grabbed my phone and hit share. The excuse was so limp it wasn't worth puncturing. When I didn't buy it, he wrapped me in a desperate hug. I swear, if I cut Brielle off, could you forgive me? Flashback to him declaring there was no chance he'd drop his side piece. Now, cornered, he wanted credit for sacrifice. It was almost funny. Adrian, I can't read you. If you love me, why stab me over and over? If you don't, why cling? Are you addicted to melodrama? Do you need every woman believing she's your one and only? He buried his head against my neck. That's not it. Everyone around us behaves that way, temptation just happened. But I do love you. Give me one more shot and I'll prove it. Don't leave me. Goosebumps rose, I shoved him off. Your version of love is a wife on the mantle and side pieces on speed dial, laughing while you recap your affairs, expecting me to smile and turn myself into your accessory. That's a uniquely disgusting brand of affection. Adrian's face strained to white. I'd heard enough. I'll have new papers couriered over. Read them carefully. I'm done here. I'd barely stepped away when my phone rang. Chase. I picked up instantly. The kid's joy spilled through the speaker. Big, my parents say you outshine any actress, and I must have walked through luck itself to find you. Before I could answer, the phone was ripped away and smashed against the marble steps, glass exploding like clear shrapnel. Adrian looked lethal. Ignoring my scream, he yanked me inside and slammed the door. He pinned me against it, panting. Break up with him. I snapped, shoving uselessly. Have you lost your damn mind? His gaze was black ice. I'm not joking. End it, or we both burn. I almost laughed. You think you're emperor of the world? His hand slid to my throat, pressure mounting. Lily, I swear, dump him, or we die together. I stared straight back. Eventually his hand began to tremble. Nothing to say? You're not scared of dying? I didn't bother answering. Maybe he finally saw it, how pathetic he looked, terror and despair wrestling in his eyes. Right then I believed he still loved me. It was just a love I could no longer stomach. My lungs tightened, I closed my eyes. Then tears, hot and heavy, splashed onto my lids, slipping down my cheeks. The moment I opened them, he let go and turned away. Fine. I get it. Go. He tried for dignity, but his voice shook like a loose window pane. Words crowded my throat, dissolved, escaped only as a sigh. I pulled the door open. A few steps down the drive, a smothered sob broke free behind me, growing, echoing, until it filled the marble entryway. I knew, our 5 years were finished. After the cooling-off period, Adrian showed up at City Hall without stalling. The second the clerk stamped our divorce papers, sunlight seemed to pour in just for me. Outside, a 20-year-old waited, grin already wide. I gathered my bag to leave, but Adrian followed my gaze to the old tree by the entrance, its branches heavy with red ribbon wishes fluttering like abandoned promises. Lily, do you still remember the red ribbon wish we tied the day we picked up our license? How could I forget? Back then, tying red ribbons for good luck was all the rage. Every branch of the ancient tree outside City Hall fluttered with them. Worried that a lone knot might be torn off by passers-by, Adrian borrowed a ladder from a clerk and, rung by rung, climbed to the highest bough. He wound that ribbon round the branch again and again, yet still fretted it wasn't secure enough. I teased him for being ridiculous, insisting it was pointless, but he was dead serious. Better safe than sorry. They say it has to stay 99 days, if it comes loose and drifts away, what if you leave too? Just picturing that hurts. Looking up now, the ribbon is long gone, and nothing between us is what it used to be. I nod, cool and distant, I've no wish to reminisce. I remember. Anything else? If not, I'm leaving, Chase is waiting. Adrian's outstretched hand dropped silently to his side. No, I just wanted to say sorry. Fine. I turned to go. He calls after me again. Did you know Brielle knew about us all along? She threw a tantrum for a proposal and sneaked it onto Instagram. Think your little boyfriend had nothing to do with that? I freeze for a second. Spotting Chase waving at me a few yards away, I let the matter go. It's okay. A bit of scheming just makes him cuter. Extra, Adrian, I always knew Lily loved me. In high school she detoured the length of the hallway to pass my window, risking a sideways glance when she thought no one noticed. She couldn't have realized how shy her expression looked, how obvious her motive was. Pretty soon, every time she walked by, my buddies hooted. I started noticing her too. She was gorgeous, so gorgeous my ego ballooned. Later, we got together as naturally as breathing. I fell harder and harder. She was gentle, understanding, nothing like my friends' bratty girlfriends, and she doted on me. I figured I'd love her for life. When did that certainty start to crack? Maybe the second year of marriage. She was still gentle, still considerate. I'd almost never seen her lose her temper. Life with her was perfect, too perfect, like a lake without a ripple. I envied my buddies whose girls threw tantrums, pouted, demanded attention. Their lives felt vivid. Then, through a friend, I met my first side piece. A supermodel, Lily's polar opposite. Volcanic temper, unreasonable, wild. With her I could explode whenever I wanted, no restraint required. She was uninhibited in bed. I didn't have to care about her feelings. Honestly, I loved it. Not long after, Lily caught us. It was the first time I saw her erupt. Tears in her eyes, she cursed me through clenched teeth and said she wanted a divorce. I panicked. But in the end she didn't leave. I remembered what my buddy said, she loves you too much to walk, and what man doesn't keep a few on the side? She'll get over it. So I tested the waters again, cheating a few more times. Sure enough, she didn't make another scene. I knew she was unhappy, but the thrill outside was addictive. She'd never leave, so why worry? Years slipped by until I met Brielle. An 18-year-old in full bloom, her profile the spitting image of Lily's. Being with her felt like a ticket back to senior year. She pouted on cue but knew exactly when to stop. I enjoyed pampering her. Meanwhile, things with Lily grew worse. I wanted to ease the tension. So I asked if she'd like to try an open marriage. Deep down I was sure she never would. It would soothe my guilt and make me look less selfish. To my shock, she had someone too. The instant she lifted her head, fury, heartbreak, betrayal slammed into me. I wanted to scream, to tear her hand from that punk's grasp, then it hit me, I was no different. I had no right. I stormed home, she didn't even bother explaining. I spun theories until one felt right, she was just using the kid to punish me, make me jealous, she couldn't possibly love him. That thought calmed me. But then she filed for him. The tenderness in her eyes when she spoke of him spilled over. I hadn't seen that look in years. For the first time, I was scared. When Brielle asked for a romantic birthday gala, a plan sparked, proposed to Brielle in public and Lily would panic. With all our history she'd choose me over the boy. Once she begged me to stay, I'd dump Brielle and start fresh. I never imagined she'd pick him. I forced her to choose, she refused to let him go. When her eyes closed, it felt like fire searing my chest. I realized I'd lost, catastrophically. I broke up with Brielle anyway, I couldn't face the reminder of what I'd done to Lily. Brielle took a fat severance check, then told me she'd known about Lily all along. She also knew she'd never land me, so she accepted Chase's deal. That harmless-looking kid has the darkest heart of all. After Lily left, to tame the bone-deep ache, I hunted for women who looked like her. Even the faintest resemblance could make me happy for a while. But none of them were her, I tired of each within a month. See? I'll probably never earn real love again. I punish and indulge myself this way. Later, when I saw Lily, her husband, and their daughter strolling happily from my car, the need for a family of my own flared. I resolved to change, went for a full checkup, and learned I was HIV positive. Maybe not just now, way back, the road behind me had already vanished. Thanks for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked it, hit like and share. We can't wait to read your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.